what's up, everybody? 311 Griffin here, and I've been seeing this. I think I don't know if this is like fake news or what. I've wondered if this is just AI stuff. And you've probably seen these videos of like this new Chinese. They're calling it a sixth gen fighter, which I don't believe exists. And I'm seeing a lot of speculation about what's going on here. And I've not watched this video yet, but I'm just going to kind of like watch and see. These are pictures that are emerging. This one, my face was covering it, but there's one that is well known. It's their fifth generation fighter, and it was flying around apparently with this large Delta Wing that people are speculating is a sixth generation fighter. And anyway, like, look at that thing. That looks like a one of the ugly drones that we've made, but it's huge. Like it's a relatively big aircraft. It's large apparently, and so people are talking about how it's got 3 engines and it's got like, it's a super like low observability design. I don't know anymore. Like there's so many people, and I'm no expert. I mean, I've studied aircraft a lot. I'm not necessarily an expert. Now that was a cool aircraft. I really like that aircraft. But people see these kinds of designs. They see these angular designs and these anything that looks like either an F-117 or an F-22, and everybody just assumes that it's very like low radar observability, and it might be. You know, the planform design can help, but there's also other things that go into current radar technology and low observability technology. So anyway, that's not. I'm not meaning to get into the technical stuff on like what this aircraft is, if it even exists. Like this could be really good, just fakes. It could be fake news. It could be a few years ago. Iran like made this new 5th generation fighter to try to scare the world, and like as far as I could tell, research I did, it couldn't even fly. It wasn't even a real jet. I don't pretend to understand the global economic situations. I mean, I've heard some things about China that lead me to believe that maybe they can't really put together a 6th gen or even a proper 5th gen program with any kind of substantial threat to the rest of the world. Some of my Chinese friends are probably going to hate me for saying that, but I think it's probably true. Like China can put some stuff together, but I don't know if they can do it in large enough numbers to matter. I mean, the United States has trouble putting together. I mean, we stopped making F-22s because they're so dang expensive. And I have a theory on that I probably shouldn't talk about, but I'm going to here in a minute. And F-35s are really, really expensive. And then if you look at Russia, also that particular intake, I think there's some problems with it. Now, I'm not saying they can't overcome those problems, but there's some problems. Oh, I guess there are the intakes on the cheeks, so never mind. But anyway, people just start comparing this kind of stuff to the F-22, and they're like, oh, it's a 6th gen fighter. As far as I know, until more information comes out, there's no such thing as a 6th gen fighter. Like for a generation shift to happen in fighter technology, there has to be a substantial technological advancement. And typically speaking, we talk way too much about generations in the modern world because, to my knowledge, generations are things, when it comes to technology, they're things that you determine later. After the fact, you look back and you say, okay, here was a technological advancement that warrants shifting from generation 2 to generation 3 to generation 4. So anyway, in the modern world, everybody's, including me, I guess you could say, everybody's just kind of like looking for clicks. And so they see something like this and it spreads around the internet thanks to the internet. And it's like, oh my gosh, we got to talk about it. And we're going to make up a bunch of garbage about it just based on its shape. This same thing happened when, if I remember correctly, it was the MiG-23. When the MiG-23 came out, the U.S. got satellite footage of it, pictures of it, basically, and they were scared. They were really, really scared because it had variable geometry wings, and they're like, this thing's huge, but it's going to perform like a small lightweight fighter. They were kind of wrong all the way around on that, and it spurred America to produce some things that like maybe we didn't need to produce. It worked out. It wound up being okay. Um, and then the same is true in a different way of the Su-57 Felon. The Su-57 Felon is probably the only jet in the world outside of the United States that is considered a fifth gen fighter that might have some performance capabilities sort of similar to the vaunted F-22. Having said that, to my knowledge, Russia has about 6 of them, and they can't build any more, and they can't really afford to put them in a fight anywhere. Now, I could be wrong about that, but sort of that's my assessment, basically, just based on things that I've seen from around the world, news articles and things like that. I think China might be in a similar situation, right? So anyway, all of this is to say, take this stuff with a grain of salt. And this is not something like people from China are trying to speculate that this is going to like scare America and that China's getting 6th generation technology before America does. And what's funny about this to me is I don't trust my government either. Um, America will lie to you. The American government will absolutely lie to you, but typically they're lying to you about things like the unemployment rate and inflation and medical care and stuff like that. The American government manipulates us in ways that make them more money. Like, we have the world's most powerful military, hands down. It's not even close. And I know people around the world are going to get upset. Some people are going to get upset whenever I say that. But it's true. Like, we have the most advanced military and the most powerful military in the world, hands down. I'm going to talk about that again in a minute. So the American government doesn't really have to lie to us about our aircraft performance. I mean, they might here and there, but like typically speaking, whenever you see performance numbers from military equipment in America, they're more or less believable. Other than the fact that they are always trying to skew the information in such a way that they can spend a bunch more money on guns or jets or whatever. We always want to get the newest, coolest, next thing. And I'm going to back up. I'm going to do a callback to one of the when I said I have a theory on the F-22 and the F-35 that I probably shouldn't talk about. The theory is that while the F-22 and the F-35 are like cool technology demonstrators, and we have built them in enough numbers that they can actually sort of be used. We have to be careful with how we use them, but they can sort of be used in combat. My theory is that the American military wanted the coolest and best things, and we wanted to push the technology and the cost of that technology to try to force countries like Russia and China to keep up, to build things like this, which would actually cause them to spend more money than they can afford to spend. So now, I also want to do a callback to what I said about America being the most powerful military in the world. I'm not necessarily saying that we always make good decisions about how to use it or even what to buy or how to implement it or what to do. I'm no military expert, but I will say that Americans, I do have some American friends who just think that we're absolutely unstoppable militarily, and we of all people should know that that's not a very safe hill to stand on. And what I'm referring to, my British friends will also be very aware of this fact if they're paying attention to history, because America, in its infant stages, took on the most powerful country in the world, the Empire of Great Britain, and won. And then a few years later, they won again. America remained a country. We fought the strongest nation in the world twice, and we survived. So just because you're the strongest militarily doesn't mean you're going to win. And it doesn't mean you always implement things correctly. And it doesn't mean that your country can bear the weight of the cost of fighting such a war. So anyway, keep that in mind. all of this is like this entire video, everything I've said is literally just because I find this kind of stuff interesting and I wanted to talk about it. But my point here, the takeaway for anybody watching is don't let these videos and stuff like if you're from China, like don't let them trick you into thinking that like, oh, this is it. We've got it now. We can take over Guam, or we can not Guam. We can take over um, Thailand and or whatever. Like we can fight America now. Like don't let your government or whatever's going on the internet, all this speculation trick you into thinking that like this is it. This is the next big thing and nobody's ever going to catch up. For my American friends and anybody else in the world, don't let the speculation get your brain too out of hand because like this is a massive fighter. I'm not going to say it's a nothing burger. I'm just saying it's something that shouldn't scare anybody outside of China. If this is real, if China really does have that, it's probably interesting. I am not going to lie. I would love to see it up close. I'd love to go to an air show and see these airplanes fly because I love airplanes. And I love like thinking about and looking at the new technology and what they can do. That thing is not very scary based on what we're seeing here. It could be that there's some crazy secret technology inside of it that is scary, but on its own, this looks like I don't know. This looks like maybe like high altitude, high speed reconnaissance stuff. This is interesting. That's it. Don't get too speculative. And again, it might not even be that real. Like it might just be something that they're doing as a stunt or whatever. I don't know. There's never no telling these days. That's it. I'm gonna shut up now. Discuss amongst yourselves. I'll join in the discussion if there is much. Thank you for watching. Happy flying. Take care.